I think we're live. I think we're live. I think we're live. Let me know if you can see and hear me out there in internet land. I think we're live. You never know these days. Let me know if you can see me and hear me in the chat. We're trying to run this OBS. We got exciting times for the Jets with many, many trades. All right, so interestingly, we get no idea there. Mark, if you're out there, let me know. PC says, I think you're alive. Yeah, PC's a member. Todd, can you hear me? PC can see and hear me, all right. Phil Adams from across the pond. Audio visual, 100%. Boy, Phil Adams, I was watching a documentary, Phil Adams. Did you know that? I was watching a documentary about British soccer, what you call football, and the Premier League and the Champions League and the League One and the League Four and the League Zero. Did you know there's 4 leagues of soccer in England? Did you know that Tom Brady bought a significant share of Birmingham City Football Club? He's going to turn it around, Phil Adams. What do you think of that? Todd says, all is good. All right. Jonathan says, spill the beans. What beans? I don't know. Doge is here. He's a member. You got to love the Dodester. He's also a New Paltz grad. So he gets double bonus points. Phil Adams says, yes, the more reason to hate them. Yeah, but they're a blue-collar club, they were telling me. Phil Adams on this documentary. And Tom Brady's going to come in and fix everything. And he hired a manager, and then the manager was no good, apparently. And they had to sack the manager. Some former player. And in fact, in his first season, Tom Brady, as an owner of Birmingham City Football Club, which they call the Blues, but I still don't understand, Phil Adams, why if you look at their stadium, it says Birmingham City Football Club. It doesn't say Birmingham City Blues. Like in the NFL, it says New York Jets. It doesn't say New York Football Club. I still don't get it. But anyway, in their first season, guess what happened? They got relegated. Relegated. That's the worst thing that can happen to you in football, to get relegated. They got relegated down to the Champions League from the Premier League. The Premier League is top choice, but if you fall into the bottom 3, they relegate you down to the next level. And in fact, actually, I think they weren't they in the Champions League, and they got relegated to League One, I think. Didn't they? Well, in any case, it wasn't going good for old Tom Brady. BBA says, anything big happened today? Huh? Some things, we'll talk about it. Phil says, I have history with them. Well, what kind of history, Phil Adams? I mean, this is supposed to be a blue-collar. All the people that they talked, all the fans, they were like, this is a blue-collar town. This is where we manufactured things historically going back. We're just a bunch of blue-collar folk. Blue-collar, We don't have fancy things. I know draft lovers are happy, but it got harder to win. Well, it got harder to win, but we weren't winning with these people. So, we needed a way to restock. This is an organizational reset, Todd. Today it functions as an organizational reset. We were waiting to see what would happen with this crew, and we found out today they're going to reset this fucking organization. So don't expect to win this year. Next year you want to see improvement, and then 2027 is our year where we got to be competing for the playoffs. Phil Adams said, Blues is just a nickname. Yeah, but I don't understand these nicknames. Like, you would think that they would market the nickname of the team. Like, the Jets market the Jets. And then you also here in New York Jets, but in soccer, they market everything as city name and then football club. I don't understand why they do that because it's not good marketing. We already know it's a football club. Why do you have to put that in the name? The Birmingham City Football Club. We already know it's a football club. It's weird to me, but maybe it's a cultural thing. You know what I'm saying? So Phil says, big day in Jets history. Yeah, today is a big day in Jets history. We finally found out that AG and Mougey, what they're all about, what they're going to do. And basically what they're going to do is reset this organization while acquiring some pieces, but they also stockpiled us up with draft picks in the next 2 years. For those who don't know, 2027 is considered a monster draft. The Jets now have 3 first-round picks in a monster draft. 2027, did I say 6? 2027 is considered a monster draft. 2026 is considered an okay draft. I would anticipate us getting our quarterback in 2026 and then stocking it okay for 2026 and then getting 3 big monsters who are not quarterbacks in 2027. After today's trades, we now have in 2026, 2 first-round picks. In 2026, 2 second-round picks. We still don't have a third-round pick. We couldn't make that happen. But we also have 2 fourth-round picks. And then we have a bunch of picks at the end as well. We got a lot of picks in this year's draft. But then, in 2027, we have 3 first-round picks. Our own Dallas Cowboys and Indianapolis Colts. So they'll probably be toward the middle or back, but still, it's going to be an interesting time. Now, as we all know, we all have to, anytime you talk about trading for draft picks, the first thing people say is, well, then you got to hit those picks, and we know that. We know, as always, you always have to hit on your picks. If you don't, then look what happens to you. You become the Miami Dolphins. You have to hit on your picks at all times, but certainly if you're trading and you're stockpiling picks, you got to hit on them. Now, we were able to pick up some players as well. We picked up Mougey Smith, former first-round pick. We picked up Adonai Mitchell, former second-round pick. We picked up John Mechie previously, former second-round pick. So we picked up some roster fillers, let's be honest, and maybe they can carve out a significant role. But if not, then, they're people that you need on the roster. Now, what I am wondering with all of this, the big trades, of course, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams. So I wonder with the trade of Quinnen Williams whether we're going to actually move to a 3-4 defense. Because we do have Harrison Smith here. He can be a zero-tech nose tackle. Then you can take guys like Briggs and Mougey, make them 5-tech defensive ends, and then we do some 2-gapping, and then we use Jermaine and Will McDonald as outside linebackers who are on the line frequently, and maybe that's a way to improve the defense. We got to see what these guys want to do. But everybody agrees that these were good trades. So Jonathan says, were these trades good? Yeah, these were excellent trades. We got excellent value for these players. And what we learned afterwards is that Quinnen Williams was not happy here. We learned afterwards through Connor Hughes, the narcissistic douchebag, that Quinnen Williams had requested a trade 3 times already. And he wanted to redo his contract, and the Jets said no, thank you to that. And so he wasn't happy here. He wasn't happy with the losing. He wasn't happy with his contract. He wasn't happy. So we did him a favor, I think, and we got really good value for him. Now, we'll see what Mougey can do. He's been disappointing in Dallas, obviously. So we'll see if he can be anything more than a roster filler, but it's possible. He has, people liked him coming out of the draft. He was a first-round pick, so. Phil says, the draft experts will be in mock draft. Yeah, we're going to, now it's all about these drafts. It kind of has to be now. Now, because I was wondering all this time, how are we going to fill all the needs we have? Well, now we know. This is how. Because now, for example, we can pick in the first 2 rounds. Basically, we can get a quarterback. We can get a wide receiver 2, an excellent wide receiver that I didn't think we would. be able to in the first round. Late first round, you can get one of these top wide receivers, not the top ones, but like, maybe the fourth or fifth best, wide receiver in the whole draft. And then in the second round, so that takes care of the offense, but then in the second round, you can take your edge player and a defensive tackle or a safety, or if we still need a guard, don't forget, we still need 2 guards. We don't have any guards on the roster after this year right now. So, yeah, Phil the Jet Adams got it right here. That's what the reporting was, that's when it started, but then it got worse when in the one-on-one meeting with Glenn, he didn't like the way Glenn was telling him he needed to improve, which is bullshit on Quinnen's part, if being honest. But then he also didn't like the fact that he wanted the Jets to redo his contract to give him even more money. We're giving the guy $25 million a year, and this is not Aaron Donald. I mean, let's be honest about what Quinnen is. He's a good, not great player. Good, solid, nice, but he's not Aaron Donald or anything like that. So if he's unhappy, and he's not performing at an extremely high level and we can get a bounty for him, hey, why not? And I think it was these moves, basically every move that Mougey has made since he got his staff together has been a very smart move, in my opinion. And I'm very encouraged by that. And I'm very encouraged that he's going to nail the draft. And then Tea Time is here and says, yeah, plus all the cap space. What about that? We're going to have plenty of cap now, next year and the following year for all these people. Anybody that we want to sign, because the next thing now, since we didn't trade Brees or Jermaine or Quincy, for example, I think Brees and Quincy should get extended. And now we got the cap room to do so. No problem. Yeah, BC's got it right. He wanted to go to Dallas. He wanted to go back home south. He's a Southern boy. Let him go back to Aaron White Cotton. Go down to Dallas. And we, he's tired of losing. He's been here. All he has done is lose. And so you can understand it from his point of view. All right. Well, and then we need an organizational reset. We have so many needs. We need a wide receiver too. We need guards. We need lots of people on defense. We have no safeties here. I mean, Malachi Moore and Tony Adams are our starting safeties right now. We did make a late trade, in case you missed it. We picked up Jasir Taylor, a defensive back, but he's roster fringe. But basically, we need to sign Dean Clark up to the 53 man to make up for that. Yeah, we'll see how he does down in Dallas. He's a good player, and they needed run stoppers down there. That's what Jerry Jones was talking about ever since he traded Micah Parsons. So, we'll see. But their season's not exactly going as planned. PC says, I'm happy that Quinnen got out. Yeah, me too. If you're not happy here, if you're not down with the AG system, look, the Jet fans aren't in love with AG right now because we're 1-7, let's be honest. But AG is going to be here at least through 2028, let's be honest, unless something very strange happens. So, if you're not going to be down with the program, then you got to get out. And it was just that simple. If you're not down with the program of the head coach, then get the funk out. Big Green, who's this Jasir Taylor? He's a nobody. Big Green, he's basically roster filler. We needed another guy on the roster, so we traded basically a pepperoni pizza for him. 2028 conditional 7th, basically nothing. So he's nobody, Big Green. He's just a roster fringe guy. We only have currently 52 people on the roster. PC says, I really like Quinnen, but the whole thing is understandable. Yeah, I think from what I've seen, I think most of the Jet fans understand these moves completely. From what I've seen. And a lot of the experts said the Jets killed these trades. They won the trades by a long margin. Now, if the Colts go on and win the Super Bowl with Sauce Gardner playing well, they're not going to care who won the trade, and same thing with Quinnen in Dallas. But here's what Jermaine Johnson said. Jermaine, no, we shouldn't trade for Shador unless we want to watch another quarterback run backwards all day. Jermaine Johnson said, I'd be lying if I said I was happy my brothers are gone because I'm not. I'm sick. No, you'd expect that. Those are his good buddies. But, he said, I believe strongly in the organization, staff, and my other brothers in the locker room. I said when I got drafted I wanted to be the reason or part of the reason this thing gets changed for the better, and that's going to continue to be my outlook. I love this team and this fan base, and y'all will continue to get my all, my absolute best on and off the field. Let's look onward and upward because better things are coming, and I give my word on that. Go Jets always. That's Jermaine Johnson. That's Jermaine Johnson. So I think, look, man, I give that man a contract extension right now. Gotta love that. So Jermaine, I think we made the right choice keeping Jermaine here. He can be part of the solution, I do think. And so that's all we got for bookmarks there. Surprised the Q thing didn't leak. Yeah, you heard little bits and pieces, but what Connor Hughes said is that the Jets told him and Zach and everybody else, we're not trading Quinnen. They basically lied to them, which is good. You should lie to these motherfuckers. You shouldn't tell the truth to these idiots. You tell them what you want them to be told. You know what I'm saying? James Thompson says, good deal. Clean house. Yeah. It appears that after Sauce and Quinnen got traded 1 hour before trade line, Brees said he wanted out. No, he didn't say that. Jordan Schultz reported it. Remember, Jordan Schultz, who is Jordan Schultz? Schultz report. Who is he? You might want to know. Jordan Schultz is the heir to the Starbucks fortune. He's the Nepo baby of all Nepo babies. So he's a complete shithead who has his job for that reason. He didn't really earn his way, you could say. So he put that out. It's not sourced. It's just anonymous bullshit. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Now, I'm pretty sure that Brees, it's kind of like, well, all these people are getting traded. Maybe I could go somewhere. But if the Jets go to him and say, listen, Brees, here's a 2-year contract, $20 million, he'll sign it. He'll sign it. Got my picks and going to have more money to work with. Yep. What's our money? We got plenty of money, Big Green. We got all the money we need, and we can create more anytime we need it. So we got no money problems at all now, especially we didn't before, really. But now with Sauce gone and Quinnen gone, there'll be some dead cap that we do have, but overall we'll be saving a lot of money. And now we can start working on the draft. I mean, the big thing is we got to hit these draft picks. We got to get the quarterback right. We got to figure all this out. And then we're good to go. Jonathan says, well, this is what I would do, Jonathan. I've been saying this for a long time now. Fields is going to be here. He's on the roster for next year. That's veteran 1. I would go sign veteran number 2. I would do the Giants plan. Go sign veteran number 2, whoever you like, Mariota, Brissett, it doesn't matter. You get your second veteran. Then you draft your quarterback. We see who comes out, where are we drafting, all the things. And you grab him. And then you let the rookie determine when they're going to play by how they hit their milestones. How do they do going forward? And the plan being you're going to start either Fields or the other veteran. It doesn't really matter until such time as the veteran, the rookie, tells you based on his performance that you're evaluating that he's ready to go. Just like Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart started killing it. They were loving him. They let Russell go, whatever it was, 4 games, and then they said, all right, it's Jackson Dart time. So that's the plan I would do. You keep it. You keep the training wheels on him, and you let him ramp his way up, get his confidence going, and you don't put any pressure on him. Unlike Zach Wilson, when Rich Eisen said, "Is this the kid to save the entire franchise?" and basically put all the pressure of the world on a kid's shoulders. You don't do that. You have veterans in place, ready to go, and the plan is you play the veterans. It doesn't matter if it's Fields or some other guy. It doesn't matter. Just like it didn't matter if the Giants went with Russell or Winston. It didn't matter. Eventually, Dart was going to get in there, and as soon as Dart went in there, that was what was going to determine, how the Giants do and what the ownership does with the coach and the GM. And I think they're going to stay around, personally, I would think. But that's the plan I would do. Gives you the most optionality and doesn't put a ton of pressure on the kid, whoever you take, and let him just, see where he's at, and hopefully he just kills it. No, he does. He does have information because what he does is he cozies up to the agents, and he always puts out positive things on the players, regardless. So the agent, if the agent wants to, if a guy gets cut, Schultz will be the kind of guy who tells you the positive side of a guy getting cut. Oh, he's looking for an opportunity elsewhere. He's got, he was well regarded coming out of college. He always puts a positive spin on it. That way he gets relationships with agents, and he does have sources. So he does have good information sometimes. That's the tricky thing with these motherfuckers. But that's who he is. Can you imagine the Starbucks fortune? You know how much money Starbucks. His father started Starbucks, Howard Schultz. Like, can you imagine how much money's coming this kid's way? And he's sitting there, pretending like he's, some hard scrabble guy who worked his way up. No. Hai Karate. Yeah, well, this is the thing, Hai Karate. We've been rebuilding since 1969, of course. But here's the timeline for this one. Ready? 2027. I mean, look, it's not the greatest, but by 2027, that season, we got to be making the playoffs. That's the season. Because I believe next year we'll have our young quarterback. At some point he plays, see how quickly he acclimates, etc. And then 2027, we have 3 first-round picks. And we're going to stockpile talent around that quarterback, one way or another. Stockpiling the defense, whatever it is. And we got to be competing by then. So, Ablab says, considering the QB class in 26 is mild and we have a freaking haul for 2 years, how do you feel if we waited? I would not wait now. It would depend. Like let's say we have the 3rd pick, Ablab, and this is a super chat. Thank you, Ablab. So, like, on my little thing, it doesn't... Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you for the super chat, Ablab. I didn't see it at first. I'm working on OBS, Ablab, so it's a little different, but now I see it on the screen there. But here's the way I would look at it. There's probably 2 quarterbacks that I would want to grab in this year's draft, maybe 3. And so if those guys are available, you grab them. If not, then you look elsewhere. And you figure it out. And that's the beautiful thing about having 2 veterans. Let's say we sign Mariota and we got Mariota and Fields. And if we had to go into the season and wait on the quarterback for the 27 draft, where Julian Sayan's coming out and probably Carr's coming out. I mean, Julian Sayan's the guy you want, but he's not coming out. He's only a freshman. Julian Sayan's the monster quarterback. But... you could wait and go with, let's say it's Fields, Mariota, and Brady Cook, right? And you could go another season, but that's a little risky in that Jet fans are not going to be happy about that. We're going to want some hope here. Waiting a whole other season just to go get Julian Sayan, it's risky. You don't know where you're going to be in the draft. We got a lot of capital, so we can move around theoretically, but sometimes you can't go up to where you need to get up to. Just ask the 49ers. So basically, I would, it would depend on your evaluation of the QBs. I would have 3 QBs that I would want, and then if we can get one, you grab it. Even though you could, it's too risky to do it otherwise, Ablab, in my opinion. Now, if we can't, let's say we start winning some games and we're suddenly we have the 6th pick or something, and we're not going to get one of the guys that you want. Well, you don't reach for someone, and then in that case, we just load it up and we got to say, well, one more year of waiting, and just hope and pray for saying, and just say, well, we will move heaven and earth to get up to a place to take Julian Sayin, assuming he continues as everybody thinks he will, for example. So, yeah. Finnegan's crew, who's my quarterback? I don't have a quarterback. But as all of the members of this channel know, we grade the quarterbacks, and the members have access to the grades. So I would encourage folks to support the channel by becoming a member. We got all kinds of levels now for all kinds of budgets and so forth and so on. James Thompson says Starbucks is overpriced and isn't that good. That may be so, but think about it from a corporate point of view. Do you understand how much money they make as a corporation? Do you understand how big they are? And if you were the person who started the company, well, what kind of money you're sitting on? Billions and billions. And then your son is going to inherit it all. And he's sitting there like he did something. Carr, yeah. So you got Carr and Sayin, I think, are the two big ones for 27. There are probably some other ones. I mean, whoever doesn't come out this year, like what does Lenora Sellers look like, next year? I think it's a good idea for Lenora Sellers to go back to school. And I think it's also a good idea for Lenora Sellers to transfer to another school. But let's say he does that and he gets a lot better, looks a lot better with the tools he has. Well, if Lenora Sellers figures out how to play quarterback with the tools he has, he's going 1-1, no doubt. So but Lenoris might come out this year, but I doubt it. But he could. He could. Salman, so does it mean we should be dissecting? Yeah, I would say so, Salman, and I've been doing so for a while. I've been grading these quarterbacks in anticipation of this. So I got some grades done, and there'll be more grading. This Saturday, for example, 12 o'clock, 3:30, 7:30, we got the top 3 guys going. I forget the order of it, but Alabama, Indiana, and Oregon are playing. I forget the order, but they're playing. One's playing at 12, one's playing at 3:30, one's playing at 7:30 at night. So it's basically sitting my ass on the couch and grading these quarterbacks all day long because they're all playing. All the top 3 are playing, and we got to continue our grading of them because we got to know. But yes, I would start. With this many draft picks now, everything's about the draft now. We have to rebuild through draft and develop. Every team says they want to do that, but not every team actually does it. And we got to do that now. So the quarterback's first and foremost, but then now that we have, we basically have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. So we got a lot of analysis to do of players that we didn't think we were going to have access to. Let's look at something. People are not thinking. So, I was thinking before all this, I was thinking first round's going to be quarterback. Second round's going to be, probably edge. And then we'll try to find a wide receiver somewhere. Now, first one's going to be quarterback, but then we have another first round pick. So let me tell you some of the guys at the back end of looking at the consensus NFL mock draft database.com, the consensus big board. So here's some people at the back of the first round that we wouldn't have access to. We could get a Makai Lemon, wide receiver, USC. We could get a David Bailey, edge, Texas Tech. We could get Cassius Howell, edge, Texas A&M. We could get Sonny Styles. How do you like Sonny Styles? Linebacker, Ohio State. We could get Denzel Boston, wide receiver, Washington. We could get C.J. Allen. We could get Ukulele, edge, Oregon. We could get we could get like the best interior offensive lineman in the draft. His name I cannot pronounce. The kid from Penn State, Ioane. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but I think he's well regarded in terms of the best interior lineman in the draft. And we might be able to get him. We're going to need a guard. We could get L.T. Overton, the edge out of Alabama. So all these people now are in play that were not in play before. And then we're going to have 2 second-round picks. So then we could take whatever we take the first one. Then we could get an edge player. We could get, Dennis Sutton, the edge out of Penn State, who looks like a monster to me, is ranked 48th here. Zion Young, another edge player out of Missouri, who I've seen play a couple of times, looks like a monster to me, is ranked 49th on here. I mean, we have access to so many players that we didn't have before. Now, Tea Time brings up Tate. I love Carnell Tate. The problem is he's going to go too quickly. Tea Time. So Carnell Tate, he's listed 18th here, but he's not going 18th. I mean, maybe he slips, but I'd love to get Carnell Tate, but I just don't think he's going to last that long. So I would take the top guys out of our range. I mean, we're taking a quarterback, so, we're not going to get Reuben Bain or Caleb Downs or Spencer Fano. We don't need him anyway. Or Jordan Tyson, Peter Woods, Francis Mauigoa, Arvell Reese. These people are going to be gone. Keldrick Falk. So I was just looking at the back of the round, Tea Time. But yeah, if Carnell Tate fell, we take him in 2 seconds. Are you kidding me? Love that kid. He's going to be like Emeka Egbuka. Maybe a little not as good, but, close, I think. But now we have access to all these people that we didn't have before. So it's going to be interesting to see how they maneuver. Jonathan wants to know, will we trade a first round for more picks? Probably not. But it depends on where we end up, who's available. It depends on many different factors, Jonathan. Of course, everything depends on the factors. Because if we have the first overall pick, we're not trading out of that. If we have the second overall pick, we're probably not trading out of that. But it also depends on who comes out. Like Ty Simpson could go back to school, and that changes everything. I mean, it's almost certain that Mendoza comes out. In fact, he may be out of eligibility. I'm not sure. But Dante Moore very easily, for example, could go back to school also. Lenore Sellers should go back to school, but he might decide to come out. So we just don't have all the information right now. But those are the types of people that we have access to that I was thinking there's no way we have access to. We're going to have to make hard choices. But now we can get all of our main needs met. I think it's going to be very interesting what we do at guard. We don't have any guards on the roster right now for next year. Chris Havern, I think today was a good day for the Jets' future and gives me more confidence in Mougey. Time will tell. Yeah. Oh, Hi Karate said, we also have to replace Quinnen. Yeah. But we did get Mozzie Smith, so Mozzie Smith will be a backup. But what if we run a 3-4 Hi Karate? Ever think of that? You ever think of that? Hi Karate! And if you're not following me on X, I suggest you do. I put out good ideas over on X, like what our defense could actually look like if we ran a 3-4. Hi Karate, you ever think of that? You ever think of that? Maybe we already have the starting defensive lineman we need if we went to a 3-4. Don't forget, Harrison Phillips, what position did he play when he was with your Minnesota Vikings, Mr. Hi Karate? Think of that. You ever think of that? Well, I'll tell you, he played zero tech, nose tackle. So maybe we're going to use him that way. And then we don't need as many defensive linemen. Then we need to, then linebackers come back into play. And then people we're not going to get Arvell Reese, but he might be the first non-quarterback taken. But we might be able to get Sonny Styles or C.J. Allen. I don't know much about him at the moment, but these are highly rated linebackers. Anthony Hill Jr., Texas. So if we're going to go to a 3-4, then we need way more linebackers than we've needed recently, since the Saleh era. And so a lot of it depends on that. So we may not. Now, Quinnen plays a 3-tech. We may not be playing 3-techs out of here. I mean, we just don't know. So we may not have to replace him, technically. I think our wide receiver got a little better also. Well, it got a lot better. We got two second-round pick players who are very highly regarded, Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie. Mitchie and Mechie. So we'll see what we'll be mixing and matching and mixing and Mitchie and Mechies and see which one of those two guys could be part of the future. But two guys that if you want to take a flyer on, in these trades that we just basically got them to throw them in to. A lot of teams were after A.D. Mitchell, they were saying. We got him. We got Mitch and Mech. We're going to mix and match with Mitch and Mech, baby. Yeah. But that's much better than the bums we were throwing out there. And then you could consider Arian Smith gets open all the time. He's like 7-Eleven, that guy. He's always open. And then, Isaiah Williams can be our special teams, fourth wide receiver. And then, if you add one more guy into the mix there, I mean, if we could add Carnell Tate, that'd be beautiful. Or one of these other dudes, Makai Lemon, who could have a little lemon lime flavor. How about a little Denzel Boston? You add that into the mix, and now the room's looking pretty good. And plus, Chris Bell. A lot of people love this Chris Bell kid out of Louisville. They got him 37th here. I don't think he's going 37th. So then you have a room of studs, as wide receivers. And don't forget, we got Mason Taylor. We still have Breece Hall, and I think we're going to sign him to a contract. Breece Hall, we're not going to let him go, I don't think. So that's another receiver, technically, But, you get these wide receivers, and now the room doesn't look so bad. Chris Bell, I'm hearing lots of good things about Chris Bell. I haven't watched him myself. He plays for fucking Louisville. But some of these people that I trust who are the analysts, they're analyzing him, and they're saying, oh, my goodness, this Chris Bell. Any safeties? Well, there's one amazing safety, Sal, man. Problem is, he might be generational. And we're not going to get him because his name is Caleb Downs. He's Josh Downs' brother. And he's going to be, he might be the first non-quarterback taken. That's the problem. We're not going to have access to him. But of course, there's other safeties. Looking around the end of the first round, let's look around. Not seeing any. Dylan Tieneman from Oregon, that guy, I've seen him play a couple of times, aggressive. It could be a guy that we pick up. But then we're going to have to look to the fourth round. We have a couple of picks in the fourth round. That's probably where we're taking our safety. Kamari Ramsey, USC. It's a name we should probably watch. Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo. It could be a fourth rounder we pick up. We're probably getting the safety in the fourth round. Genesis Smith. Always like to get a guy named Genesis. A.J. Halsey, LSU. So there could be some dudes. Bird Dogger says, thumbs up for the 3-4 defense. He's a member of the Inner Circle, and you got to respect it when the folks are part of the Inner Circle because they get the best information. I mean, there's so much information available to these Inner Circle members. If you're not a member, you're really out in the cold. But let's see, Bird Dogger. Let's see, buddy, because I don't know for a fact that's what's going on, but if you see my X account, I lay it out, and it looks a lot better than, trying to figure out because the problem with the 4-3 is then you need 8 defensive linemen who are all really good. You need 4 edge play, defensive ends, and you need defensive tackle. And they're hard to find these people. I think it's a lot easier to find linebackers. What about Whit Weeks? I mean, a guy like Whit Weeks. You see this dude, he's flying around on Saturdays. Whit Weeks out of LSU, They got him ranked 97th. We could pick up a Whit Weeks. That dude's good. Jonathan says, we need to draft a kicker. Well, the good thing, Jonathan, we got plenty of 7th-round picks to do that with. So either we sign, the old man for another year, or we just use one of our 7th-round picks on him. So Jojo says, loving the moves today. All right, Jojo. Hi, Clapty. Well, we have the same road scouts, but what we don't have is what I really like about the new Mougey front office is the pro personnel department. So if you remember, I said for a long time, what about these pro personnel people? They're supposed to tell the GM, who's good on other rosters in the NFL that we could pick off, in a trade, or if they get waived, who could help us. And for a long time, I think our people in that regard were terrible. And those people got fired and sacked and canned and thrown out of a building. And we have people there that are better. And we can tell because of who they've picked up. These little pickups we've made have been good. Kobe King. Don't forget, we have Kobe King on this team. Can he help us? I don't know. He's got to play. Let's see. But the road scouts don't matter. Hi, Karate. I could do that job. You could do that job. You know what it is? It's a piece of paper, and it tells you what to fill out, and you just fill it out. It's just all paperwork. It's not like they're sitting there going, let me see this kid. This is a diamond in the rough. Everybody knows everybody. Hi, Karate. Everybody know. I have a big board right here that tells me all the right people. It's just so that we get a file on these people. And then they go and talk to the coaches, and then they go and talk to the trainer, and then they go and talk to the strength and conditioning guy. Is he in the room at 6 a.m. pumping iron, or is he sitting around, eating hot dogs? What is he doing? You go and talk to him, get intel, you fill out paperwork, you send it back in. That's what they're actually doing. So those people don't really matter. They're fungible. What matters is the people in the front office making the decisions and figuring out, all right, who really fits? Who are the people on the NFL rosters we could get? Is this Jasir Taylor? Can he fit us? What about a Juwan Briggs? Can he come over here? How about a Harrison Phillips? That would look good. These type of things. Jojo says, just hoping Jets are not trading for Kyler, like Ben Albright is saying. Yeah, I wouldn't. So Ben Albright, I think, is a Denver Broncos guy. So there's going to be an idea that people should trade for Kyler out there because Kyler's getting soft bench, then basically benched in favor of Jacoby Brissett. Basically, Kyler's career as a Cardinal is pretty much over. So the Jets should not trade for Tiny Kyler. Tiny, hold me close, my tiny Kyler. No, we should not trade for Kyler Murray at all. Now, Ben Albright has nothing to do with the Jets, has nothing to do with the Cardinals. I believe he's a Broncos reporter, and he covers the NFL. But so maybe that's just an idea he's putting out there. It makes no sense for us. We do not need Tiny Kyler running around. We need to find our guy in the draft and just go that way. Bird Dogger, more guys flying around, more linebackers generate. Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, Bird Dogger, is like, would you rather have linebackers or defensive linemen chasing Josh Allen around, chasing Drake May around? For me, I'd rather have linebackers. They're faster, they're more athletic, and you see these defensive linemen, they're chugging around and when you have a 4-3 defense, I mean, it can work, don't get me wrong, and both ways can work, but for me, with as many mobile quarterbacks as we have in the league, I'd rather have linebackers chasing those guys around, Are we winning more games with 2 big players? Not this year, no. But this is about constructing the roster for the future. This is what we're talking about, Jonathan. JD's pro personal, yeah. I think they were terrible. I mean, anybody who said... Whoever came up with the idea, trade for Hassan Reddick and get rid of JFM, that was just So stupid is unbelievable. Do you think they'll work out a deal with Jermaine and Brees? Brees needs a deal because he's a free agent. Jermaine's not a free agent, doesn't need a deal right now. I think he will get one, but he's not imminent. Brees, I think, needs a 2-year deal, and Quincy needs a 2-year deal. That's what I would do. Tua, no. We don't want Tua. Ben Albright is the Denver Connor Hughes. Yeah. I mean, who knows? You know, a lot of these people just put stuff out about the Jets because it gets clicks or whatever the thing is, you know, but they don't really know about the Jets, you know. Mendoza has 2 years left of eligibility. Oh, so even Mendoza could go back. But the problem with, and it says Aller and Nussmeier out of eligibility. Yeah, so those two are coming out. Unfortunately for them, they're not first-round picks, although Nussmeier might be. Mendoza would be crazy not to come out with the year he's having, though, okay, if he has 2 years left, then he could go back. He could be crazy and go, you know what, I want to work on something. He'd be pretty crazy. Jonathan, what teams have a good 3-4 defense? The Vikings, the Steelers, For a long time, it was the Patriots. You know, under Bill Belichick, they always ran a 3-4. So just think about Bill Belichick's Patriots. They always ran a 3-4. But traditionally, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Vikings, you know, lots of teams. About half the league is 3-4 and half the league is 4-3. I kind of would be JoJo. I mean, they could decide to punt on this year's crew. I mean, if Mendoza and Simpson both go back, then yeah, probably. I mean, a lot of people are mentioning Shador. I don't see it at all. I would not want Shador, and I don't think the Jets want that whole thing. But there's a lot of people who are going to attach us to, you know, the nom de jour, whether it be Kyler or Shador or whoever it may be, that, you know, Kirk Cousins or something. I don't see it. I also think that the regime probably wants to give the fan base at least some hope this year. It'd be very hard after the year we've had and the history we've had, and to go, you know, wait till 27 to have hope. Because if you draft a guy, a rookie, even if he's on the bench and he's waiting, you know, there's hope. There's like, okay, he's waiting, you know, we'll wait, we'll see. But if we don't have him, it's going to be a very interesting offseason. I'll tell you that. But first we have to figure out if these guys are coming back. Mendoza, he's got to come out, I would think. I mean, what is he going to do? Have a better year than he's having now? I mean, it'd be hard for him to have a better year. Yeah, you could build your fortress, but you could build your fortress now. All we need is 2 guards. But what fortress? With the amount of draft picks we have now, Phil, you can sign 1 guard as a free agent and then draft another one, and there's your fortress. And we already have the tight end. We already have Garrett and a bunch of decent wide receivers. All we need is 1 really good one out of the draft. I mean, what more do we need on offense? It's not that now that we have all these picks, I'm not worried about it. We got enough ammo. I mean, we could take, if we're really worried about a fortress, we could take this guy. Oli, how do you say this guy on Penn State's name? Ola Ioni? He's the 30th ranked prospect overall on the big board here. He's the best interior line. We could just take him. If we have to take him a little higher than normal, okay, there's one of our guards. And we sign John Simpson, or we sign, you know, some other guard. Guards will come here if you give them enough money. And there's your fortress, Phil. I mean, there's only so much you can do. And I think Tippmann should go back to center, which is what I said the whole time when everybody else was telling you he's better at guard. I said, no, he's not. Why do we think that? James says, do you think Miami will draft a quarterback? Well, we don't know what Miami's doing. Now, interesting with all this Jets news to think about Miami, they didn't do much. What did Miami do? They did not trade Waddle. They did not trade Chubb even. They didn't even trade Bradley Chubb. Why didn't Miami trade Bradley Chubb? They did trade Jalen Phillips. They didn't trade Matt Judon. So, and they didn't trade. Did they make any other trades? I mean, what did Miami do? So they held on to Waddle. What they're going to do is obviously cut Tyreek Hill and then re-sign him to a cheap deal. So they'll have Waddle and Hill back. They'll have HN. They didn't trade HN. Some people were saying they're going to trade HN. They didn't trade him. And then they have Tua and McDaniel. They're saying McDaniel's going to stick around probably. So there's too many variables, but they didn't have a fire sale today. What I would do the Phil Adams strategy with Miami. Build a fortress in Miami. Like, they need to build their offensive line and their defense, and just keep running it back with Tua for a year or two, and then get your quarterback. So, I mean, we don't know. We don't even know who their GM's going to be. We don't know who their coach is going to be. But they did not have a fire sale today. Chubb to the Bills? What? I didn't see it. Let's see. NFL National Writers. Let's check. Darren Mougey. Oh, so Mougey's given a press conference. He said, when it came down to it, Indianapolis getting richer and richer in their value. So the Colts kept upping their offer, he was saying. All right, we'll have to check that out. I didn't see Bradley Chubb going to the Bills. But I might have missed it. It's possible. Is it on the ticker? Be funny if I'm like, I can't find it, and then it's up on the ticker. Here's a list of all the trades. I don't see Chubb. Campbell, Carter, Duggar, yeah. No, I'm not seeing Nick Chubb to the Bills. Yeah, you can always get more capital. Yeah, I think so. I think he's got I mean, with the year he's having, I mean, unless he starts playing poorly down the stretch or has something terrible happen, or, but as of right now. Jonathan, don't we need a cornerback now? No. Why do you think that? See, what some of these people like Connor Hughes, the narcissistic douchebag, will want to tell you. They want to say it's so bad, but they can't quite say it. They want to say, oh, the Jets traded the guy that they're now going to have to replace in the draft anyways. No. We got A.Z. Thomas. Why do you think we have A.Z. Thomas? So I think we already have his replacement. His name is A.Z. Thomas. And the Jets, remember when A.Z. Thomas was drafted, Jonathan? Including myself, I was like, why are we drafting this guy? We don't need him. We need defensive tackle. We need edge, which we did at the time. But now you see why. They signed Brandon Stevens because they love Brandon Stevens, by the contract that he got. And then they took A.Z. Thomas in the third round. They love him. And you know that because they had all these other needs, but they took a cornerback anyway. So now we're set at cornerback, at least starting. It's B. Stevie, it's A.Z., and it's Brownlee in the slot. Oh, we may need some backups. I mean, we got Stiggers. We may get some backups. I would sign Isaiah Oliver to a contract immediately. Very useful player. But we may need, somebody as a backup. But our three starters are taken care of. So, no, we don't need to do something like that. Why not try to get Tanner McKee from Philadelphia? Because they don't want to trade him, and we could just sign a veteran for money. Why give up draft capital? No need. Rumor clickbait, Chubb did not get traded. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Miami traded Phillips, and that's it. Yeah, so interestingly, Miami did not have a fire sale. So what is going to be their stance going forward? If I were them, I would stick with McDaniels. You just gave him a huge contract extension anyways, and you're on the books for a lot of money with Tua. I would do the Phil Adams strategy, build everything up around Tua. You're going to get Tyreek Hill back. They're going to re-sign him to a cheapo deal after they cut him. And then you'll have Waddle and Tua and HN and Tyreek. And then you go and build the offensive line and build up the defense. I mean, they've screwed up so many picks. I mean, Kenneth Grant and Savania and Igbenogany and all these people that they've basically screwed up the picks on. They need to build up their team, and then at some point, when Tua's contract is run out, all the guaranteed money is basically out. Then, if it's not working, then you get rid of him and bring in the quarterback at that point. So if I were them, I would not necessarily go after these guys. You're going to bring in one of these guys and have no offensive line and have no defense, and I mean, is he going to really do better than Tua with the conditions they have? So that's what I would do. But who knows what they're going to do? Everybody thought they would have a fire sale. They're not having a fire sale. Mougey's just putting out, they're just saying, these offers were just too good. And he's right. And remember what I said before. What happens when demand is high and supply is low? What happens to the price? When demand is high and supply is low, what happens to price? In economics. Price goes up. And so the price went up for these people. Mougey, Adonai. Yeah, so he's talking about the players he added. And I think Mougey, in all these maneuvers, picked up a bunch of players that were nice, nice little throw ins in addition to the picks that we got. He's right about that. Mougey said this is not a teardown. Says the Jets are still focused on this. Yeah, basically has to say all that. But they got guys that could add to the roster, in one way or another, going forward. And then they got all these draft picks. So wonder who's taking that GM job. Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad job. You get to live in Miami. That's a good thing. They'll have no shortage of candidates. Their owner, while not exactly great, hasn't been a laughing stock. Stephen Ross. So it's not a bad position. They have a quarterback. They have a coach. If you like McDaniel, I mean, basically, the deal killer is if Ross wants to keep McDaniel, but you're a guy who's not a McDaniel fan, then you probably don't take that job, right? But if you like McDaniel and you're like, oh yeah, that's perfect. I would want to hire a guy like that anyway. Well, then you're in good shape, and you got a quarterback if you want him. And you got Waddle, you got some pieces to work with, but I think they probably should have been more aggressive. Like they couldn't trade Zach Sealer, they couldn't trade Chubb, they couldn't trade Judon for something. I mean, I thought they should have been more aggressive to stockpile picks, but surprising. It's surprising that they couldn't trade Chubb. Salman says, we have the number 1 pick. Who are you taking today? For me, if they're both there, I'm taking Ty Simpson personally, but I'm happy with either one. I have Simpson a little bit higher than Mendoza, but that's as of right now. That could change, and I'm happy with either one. I hope the Dolphins never be and Patriots gets cracks. Yeah, the Patriots are going to be a problem because of Drake May. They're a problem. Drake May's elite, my friend. And so they're going to be a problem for the next 15 years. That's just the way it is. And now they have a good coach. And he's probably going to get rid of Elliott Wolf and bring in some more of his own front office guys, I would think. And then so they're not going to have the drafting problems they had with Belichick. It went up and up, and the Jets cashed in. Yep. Bird Donger, I hate losing. Good Jets, but this seems to make sense because of the Hall. Yeah. I mean, look, Quinn, we're the 30th ranked defense. We were the 30th ranked defense with Quinnen and Sauce. So, now we got an opportunity to restock, and let's see what they do on Sunday. Do we move to a 3-4 defense? I think it'd be very exciting, but it also would be kind of weird to do that mid-season. So maybe they won't, but they might next year. I don't know. But even if they don't, let's see how they look. Miami has Zach, yeah, but he's on a 1-year deal, so they probably won't have him next year, I would think. They could re-sign him. If the Jets can land the right QB plus all the extra picks, will be the best outcome. Yeah, JoJo, that's the idea. That's the idea. Well, one thing, I'm not sensing a lot of anger in this chat. I thought people were. I thought there would be a lot more anger and toxicity in the chat. I'm happy there isn't, but I thought, I don't know, you guys seem pretty reasonable about these trades. I thought people were going to be upset. Yeah, we have plenty of cap space, JoJo, not to worry. Yeah, we need 2 guards, Jonathan. We should sign Max Mitchell back because he's carved out a nice little role for himself, the 6th offensive lineman. So we should re-sign him. He'll be cheap. But then we probably should sign and we should make a priority one of the free agent guards. And then of course we got to draft one. But a guard is one position you could get people to come here, if you give them a nice offer. You know what I mean? Salmon says, I love the moves. I mean, these are franchise resetting moves. These are giant moves that nobody really saw coming. I mean, the Quinnen one was talked about, but. All right, Bird Dogger. Peace and love. See you for coffee. I don't know about that, Phil. I don't know about that. So let's see what else Darren Mougey had to say. So that's really it. He came in and said, "Pardon my voice. I've been doing a lot of talking today." That's pretty funny. Pretty funny. But I mean, think about it. The wide receiver room is better now than it was before. And now the defense took a downgrade. I mean, but let's see. I mean, one of the things we need to watch is A.Z. Thomas. Is he as good as the coaching staff thinks he is? How does he play? I mean, if he could be 80% of Sauce and, almost as good, well, shoot, man. Now, Mozzie Smith is not going to be Quinnen Williams. Let's be clear about that. Salman says, are you going to do the Thursday show? Probably not. Jake Asman, thank you for the donation, sir. Mougey versus our last GM. That's a complicated question, but Mougey's doing really well. Ever since he got his staff together, every trade he's made, you see what he's trying to do. I mean, we've upgraded the wide receiver room now significantly. And while at the same time picking up draft capital and getting us cap space and all this stuff. I mean, Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie are not nobodies. Now, they haven't lived up to what people might have thought they were yet for various reasons, and we'll see what they can be. But if you're going to try to find, I mean, it's hard to find these wide receivers. Obviously, we've been trying to find wide receivers for a long time. We found one, but hopefully one of these guys could be another, and then Arian Smith is another, and then we draft another, and then we're looking good. But the offense is pretty much the same with upgraded wide receivers. The defense was already ranked 30th with Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. So what, are we going to fall to 32nd? No. Gee. Jake Adam, yeah. This could be Jake, or it could be the Jake bot. We don't know. Mark Sacchetti. What was the Charger trade? Nothing. Not a mooch. We traded a pepperoni pizza for a cornerback. We needed somebody for the roster. By the way, my roster account, I have 52, which means we're one short, by the way. So what I think is that we're going to sign Dean Clark. We're short on safeties right now. Remember, Andre Sisco is out for the year. I think we're going to get news that we've signed Dean Clark to the 53 man, but then we got to sign somebody to the P squad. So new P squad signing incoming. But according to my tally, we have 52 men on the 53 man. That leaves us one short. If you want to see Ty Simpson, if you haven't seen a lot of Ty Simpson, Joe Blewett is doing some of his clips on X. You want to follow Joe Blewett and see if you've never seen Ty Simpson play, for example. He's doing an analysis of Ty Simpson right now. So you can see some of the throws the kid makes. But I think we got to sign Dean Clark. Get us up. We need another safety, so it'd probably be Clark. Some of these beat reporters were saying we're going to add an offensive lineman or a safety in these trades, and we didn't add any. Connor Hughes is now reporting as of 1 minute ago. Connor Hughes, taking a step back, the Quinnen Williams trade is Darren Mougey's best work. That is a ridiculous haul. So now people are starting to look at it like I've told you guys. We got a great deal. You guys seem to have realized it already, but we got great deals on these. Even though I hate to see them go, we love Quinnen, we love Saucy, but these were amazing trades we just made. I mean, and now you see somebody like Connor Hughes going, wait a minute, taking a step back. The haul that we got. Keeping in mind now, some of the draft people, the experts, the ones I trust, not the idiots, the real draft experts are saying that the 2027 draft could be an all-time draft. 2027, not 6. And how many first-round picks do we have in 2027? Chat. How many first-round picks do the New York Jets have in the 2027 NFL draft? Put it in the chat. Should be a number. You got it. You guys nailed it. Aunt Jets is here. Tres. Jonathan, Tres. Mark Sancheri, Tres. We have 3 first-round picks in what could be an all-time draft. And imagine if we already have our quarterback. Let's say we take Simpson or Mendoza, and they're working out great, and we're like, oh, this guy's great. And we got him. And then we go into the 2027 draft not needing a quarterback. And we get 3 players, in terms of everything, Jonathan, especially wide receivers. Jeremiah Smith's coming out. Other people, I forget exactly who. Darren Mougey and I think Darren Mougey's just being a smart GM. There's no Denver blueprint. We don't have it. There's no Denver blueprint. Denver just drafted as good. I mean, think about Denver, Jonathan. Talking about a guy named Jonathan. I mean, they got Jonathan Cooper in the 7th round. That's an awesome pickup. That's just good drafting. Every team wants to do that. They got JFM from us for free, basically. Joe just says, doesn't make sense to be spending all the cap space. Yeah, right. Yeah, this was confusing. I mean, we still have Lazard. I was hoping we could move Chooks. I was hoping somebody would say, well, he used to be a starter. We need offensive line, but we couldn't get rid of him. And nobody wanted him. Moves are being made. The end of the Douglas. Yeah, we're getting the riffraff out of here. If you don't want to be part of the AG system, EC, get out. Get out. Jonathan, we still have Tony. Yeah, Tony Adams was another guy we could move. So right now our starting safeties are Tony Adams and Malachi Moore. Our backups are Isaiah Oliver and, nothing. So that's why we need Dean Clark up here ASAP. And we didn't make any trades to any of our former coaches. Adonai Mitchell will be now wearing number 15. So set your markers. AD Mitchell will be wearing number 15. So there's that. Um, so let's see how these guys do. I mean, Mechie and Mitchie are going to get a lot of opportunity here. You know, that's the one thing we could say to any wide receiver who we might. I mean, we're probably not going to go free agent for wide receivers now. But Mechie and Mitchie, you know, we'll see if they play. Jonathan, they might be inactive, but whenever they get in there, let's keep an eye on them. Are they going to be, you know, part of the future or not? Or are they going to look like a bunch of stumble bumps? Could be exciting. Yeah, they probably need, like this week, I would say Kobe King is a guy to watch this week. He's got to get in there, right? Let's hope so. That's a guy that maybe he's part of our future, maybe not. You know, let's see what he can do. But the Browns are going to be tough on offense because they have a ferocious defense. I don't know if you guys understand. They have the 6th best defense in the league and have a monster named Myles Garrett. You ever heard of him? Oh, my God, that guy's a monster. So it's going to be tough on Justin and the offense for sure. But now, on the other hand, their offense has not been great, and they are going still with Dillon Gabriel. And so our defense should be able to do well, hopefully, on Sunday. But the offense will probably struggle, if I had to guess. Like, we could get Jeremy Bernard. Jeremy Bernard is a guy I'd like to get because he can do so many different things. So we're well positioned now. We are well positioned now. And the other thing is that we've gotten rid of some of these people who are just used to losing. Like Quinnen, for as good of a guy as he was, and he wanted out of here. And you can understand it because it's just too much losing. This is a guy that comes out of Alabama. He's not used to losing. He has 7 straight years of losing. And some of that has to filter into the building, too, of some of these people who are just, part of the old guard. And, you got to get him out of the building. Fingers crossed. Jonathan, they said Dillon Gabriel. Yeah, now Dillon Gabriel, for those who don't know, he went down. He was down here at UCF for 3 years or so. Now, he's a good kid, and he's very smart, and he does have a good arm, but he's like a check down Charlie. He's like 5'8" or something. But he's a check down Charlie, and now if he starts pushing the ball down the field more and starts hitting some passes, maybe he could be good. He was very good at Oregon, if we remember. But he's a lot more athletic than people think. So he's not nobody, but he has not been playing well so far. But he's a rookie, and you never know. You could have. I mean, think about Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson right now is considered a bust, one of the biggest busts in NFL history. But remember the game he played against us? He played great. JoJo says, finally, I'm excited about the season and the future after all these moves. Well, it does give us a path, right? I've been worried that we don't have a path to compete with the Patriots and the Bills. Now at least we have a path. We got to get the quarterback right, of course. But now with all these picks, you can get the quarterback and everything else you need, along with, obviously, free agency. We're going to fill some holes there. But now with this many high-level picks, we have a shot. There's a path. Now we got to hit on the picks, of course, as everybody says. But, yeah, they have good tight ends. They got Quinshon Judkins, but they don't really have good wide receivers. So, yeah, they're going to be checking it down to Judkins. They're going to be checking it down to Njoku. They're going to be checking it down to Fannin. It's going to be a lot of checking down, probably. They don't have wide receivers. They don't have a great offensive line. So, it's probably going to be a lot of quick game, probably going to be a lot of screen game, all that. So we'll see how they play it. All right. So I guess that's going to do it. New York Jets, it's an organizational reset. This is a foundational day in New York Jet history. We traded two defensive pieces from the 30th ranked defense in football. We picked up one defensive tackle, two wide receivers, and we picked up a whole lot of draft capital. As a reminder, we currently have, in 2026, we have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. And in 2027, which is the year we're going to be, that's the year we got to be really watching. Like next year is an improvement year. We got to be improved. Then 2027, we got to be competing for the playoffs. And 2027, which some people, some respected people, have said could be one of the great drafts of all times in terms of talent coming out. We have 3 first-round picks on the books currently. So that is exciting. Kevin Callaghan, still in disbelief. It was pretty shocking this afternoon, I must say. Sal Mann, hopefully we still pick in the top 2. Yeah, that's the other thing. We don't even know when we're going to be picking. We might go on a run and start winning some ball games, you know. And then people will say, we ruined our draft chances. So we'll see how it all works out. But even if, you know, the other thing with these draft picks, you could always trade them to move up. So now we got more ammunition, even if we wanted to use some of these 27 picks, you know, to move up this year. That's another way to look at it. Even if we win some ball games and we wind up 5th or 6th or something, and we need to get up to 2 or 1 or wherever we want to get up to, you know, now we got some ammunition to try to do that at least. So that's another way to think about it. All right. Well, thanks for joining me on this Tuesday evening hang on this historic day in Jets history. Quinnen Williams, gone. Sauce Gardner, gone. Draft picks, coming. Darren Mougey, assassin. All right. See you guys.